Ever wondered if non-continuous work could actually boost your productivity? Well, let's dive into that concept and see how it shakes up the traditional work model. Non-continuous work is a pretty straightforward idea. It simply means that the work on a particular task or project is not done continuously, but rather, it's broken up into parts. This is a common sight in many industries and sectors. Picture a construction project. You don't see crews working on the plumbing, the electrical, and the roofing all at once. Instead, each part of the project is broken up into stages, each completed at different times, and often by different teams. This is non-continuous work in action. But how does this differ from the traditional continuous work model? Well, continuous work is like reading a book from cover to cover without stopping. It's starting a task and hammering away at it until it's complete. Non-continuous work, on the other hand, is more like reading a few chapters of a book, setting it aside to read another, then picking up the first book again later. It's starting a task, pausing it, moving on to another task, and then returning to the first task later. This model has its roots in project management, where it's sometimes necessary to start and complete parts of a project at different times. For example, let's say you're overseeing a software development project. You might start by developing the user interface, then switch to working on the back-end systems, before returning to refine the user interface based on what you've learned in the meantime. This is non-continuous work at its finest. Non-continuous work isn't just about breaking up tasks, though. It's about planning and sequencing activities for maximum efficiency. It's about understanding how different tasks relate to each other and organizing them in a way that makes the most sense for the project at hand. So it's clear that non-continuous work isn't just a break from the norm, but a whole different way of tackling tasks. And as we'll see in the next scenes, it has its own set of allure, promises, and challenges. Stay tuned to find out more. Continuous work has been the gold standard for centuries, but why? Let's delve into that. The appeal of continuous work lies in its simplicity. It's like reading a good book. Once you start, you don't want to put it down. You're engrossed in the story, the characters, the journey. Similarly, with continuous work, you start a task, get into the rhythm, build momentum, and before you know it, you've completed the task. It's an uninterrupted flow of productivity that can be incredibly rewarding. There's also the allure of focused work periods. Imagine working on a task without distractions, without being pulled in multiple directions. You're able to concentrate fully on the task at hand, understanding its nuances and intricacies. This deep focus leads to higher quality work and often quicker completion times. It's like running a marathon at a steady pace. You're not sprinting and then stopping, you're maintaining a consistent speed, and that helps you reach the finish line. Moreover, completing tasks in one go offers a sense of accomplishment. There's something satisfying about starting a task and seeing it through to the end without breaks. It's akin to ticking off items on a checklist. Each tick brings a sense of progress, of moving forward. In terms of project management, continuous work creates a straightforward workflow. It's easier to schedule tasks, assign resources, and monitor progress when work is performed continuously. Traditional project management methods like the waterfall model thrive on this predictability. You know what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and who will do it. There's a clear path from start to finish. But the world isn't always predictable, is it? Tasks can be complex, resources can be scarce, and timelines can be tight. Sometimes it's not feasible to work continuously on a task. Sometimes you need to adapt, to be flexible, to embrace the unpredictable. Continuous work, then, offers a streamlined, focused approach. But is it always the best option? Let's explore that in the next scene. Non-continuous work breaks the mold, but what makes it attractive? Let's unravel this. Non-continuous work is like a chameleon. It adapts. It offers flexibility, one of the most sought-after qualities in today's dynamic work environment. Imagine a project like a puzzle, with each activity as a piece. Now, in a perfect world, you'd place each piece one after the other continuously until the puzzle is complete. But what if the pieces don't fit in a linear order? What if you need a piece from the middle of the box or even the bottom? That's where non-continuous work comes into play. This approach allows you to work on different parts of the project at different times, based on the current need or scenario. It's like being able to pull out that middle piece of the puzzle when you need it, rather than waiting to get to it in order. It's about working smarter, not harder. Moreover, non-continuous work is like having multiple arrows in your quiver. It enables you to handle multiple tasks or projects simultaneously, without the need to complete one before starting another. This is particularly useful in larger projects with various sub-activities that can be performed independently. But perhaps the biggest promise of non-continuous work is its ability to accommodate the unexpected. In the unpredictable world of project management, changes and challenges can arise at any moment, like a sudden change in project specifications or a key resource becoming unavailable. With a non-continuous work approach, you're not tied down to a rigid sequence. You can pivot, adjust your aim, and keep moving forward. To sum up, non-continuous work is like a Swiss Army knife in your project management toolbox. It offers the flexibility to adapt to changing circumstances, the capability to juggle multiple tasks, and the resilience to weather unexpected challenges. The flexibility of non-continuous work can be a game changer, but it's not without its drawbacks. Non-continuous work isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, so what are its pitfalls? Some challenges are inherent in the nature of non-continuous work. One such issue is the potential lack of focus. When work is broken up into parts, it can be easy to lose the thread of what you're doing. Each time you restart an activity, there's a ramp-up period where you have to get your bearings again. This can lead to a loss of momentum and a decrease in productivity. Another drawback is the difficulty in tracking progress. Continuous work has a clear beginning, middle, and end, making it easy to see how far you've come and how far you have to go. With non-continuous work, this linear progression is disrupted. You might complete part of an activity, move on to something else, and then come back to finish it later. This can make it hard to have a clear sense of how much work has been done and how much is left to do. Non-continuous work also demands a more complex approach to project management. Instead of scheduling an activity to be done in one go, you have to plan for it to be done in stages. This requires careful coordination to ensure that all the parts of the activity are completed in the right order and at the right time. If you're not careful, you could end up with a disjointed project where the pieces don't fit together properly. Finally, non-continuous work may not be suitable for all types of projects or tasks. Some activities are best done in one continuous flow where you can build on the momentum and keep the big picture in mind. Breaking these up into smaller parts might do more harm than good, causing confusion and inefficiency. Non-continuous work, then, requires a careful balance and thoughtful planning. It's not a cure-all for every project management woe, but with the right approach, it can be a powerful tool in your repertoire. Just be aware of its challenges and plan accordingly. So, where does this leave us on the concept of non-continuous work? We've charted the landscape of non-continuous work, exploring its allure, its promise, and the challenges it presents. Let's summarize the key points. Non-continuous work essentially is a work structure where activities are not performed in one uninterrupted sequence, but are instead split into chunks, with significant breaks in between. This approach can be beneficial in certain situations. For instance, when a project involves distinct phases that cannot overlap, or when resources are shared across multiple tasks. However, non-continuous work is not without its drawbacks. It can lead to inefficiencies due to the time and effort required to restart a task. It can also result in a loss of momentum and can make it more difficult to maintain a consistent pace and focus. But here's the thing. Modern project management is not about a one-size-fits-all approach. It's about being adaptable, understanding the specific needs of the project, and making informed decisions. And non-continuous work, despite its challenges, can be a valuable tool in the project manager's toolkit. Think about it. There might be instances where it makes sense to split a task into separate parts. For example, a construction project might involve laying the foundation, then pausing to allow it to settle, before resuming to build the structure. Or a software development project might involve writing code in sprints, with breaks in between to review, debug, and refine. In these cases, non-continuous work can actually enhance efficiency and effectiveness. It allows for flexibility, offers opportunities for review and refinement, and can even help to prevent burnout by providing necessary breaks. But remember, the key is to consider the nature of the task or project, the resources available, and the team's preferences. Ultimately, the choice between continuous and non-continuous work depends on your project's requirements, your team's preferences, and your overall project management strategy.